Good morning, good afternoon, good evening in the past, present, future, wherever and whenever you are. Welcome to another scene in the living world of darkness, changing 20th venue. Our scene is set again in Charles's high-rise apartment in Manhattan, and today he's setting up at least what seems to be a very well, it's not exactly like the big, like, giant over the top like feasts he's been doing before, but rather instead he's just got two, basically just an order of KFC at either end of the table. At this point, it seems he's more wanting to have a little bit of restraint today, whether it's because it's a budget, because he's finally hitting his budget, or whether he's wanting to keep things a lot more brief. It's another consideration, but he's waiting for his guest, who he sent the text message to. Tonight's going to be a night about business.
Indeed it is. And of course, not too early, but not too on time. Brooke will knock on his door.
And
of course she has something in her arms yet again.
And Charles opens, and once again, it's like always at a moment, the perfect host smile, that dazzling, sharp, creepy diamond smile down in her. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Please come in.
And she will kind of present this. I'm gonna say it's a Cinnabon. It's a Cinnabon.
Oh. And where is this from?
A few blocks down.
Haven't stopped by that
I saw
place.
it on my way here, and I thought you might enjoy it.
I haven't stopped by that place yet. Now I don't have to. Thank you. He guides her and closes. You'll have to forgive the lack of extravagance today. I figured if we're going to stick to business, we might as well at least keep even the meal relatively simple.
Of course.
Please, have a seat. And he guides her over to her chair, where her own bucket of KFC. It's the usual, like, 10-piece menu or whatever.
It is a literal bucket.
It is a literal bucket of KFC chicken. So, to business, he says as he sits down. I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
Well, that's not good.
Might as well rip the bandage off as fast as possible here. You're going to lose in the court case, at least against Shea.
Oh, and why is that?
Well, because I'm not representing her, and they've found a new lawyer. Well, more a lawyer sort of swept in at the behest of a third party, and has from what I understand, a pretty substantial record. And knowing which firm he's from, I don't doubt it. But it's not the main reason I called you here. How much are you aware of the political situation in Brooklyn?
Not very.
I'll admit, if anything, I'm still a little hazy on it as well, but I did gain a bit of good, interesting information that you and yours might find useful. See, there is the individual who Shea has ultimately taken to be her counsel, is a member of House Ilunid. Now, I don't expect you to understand much about the names of the houses, aside from the fact that I say their names and they have funny pronunciations. Needless to say, House Ilunid is a very secretive order that holds, if I'm correct in my memory, at least a very good relationship with House Aileel. Why am I bringing up House Aileel? Well, because the Baron of Brooklyn is Aileel.
As we spoke about in our last encounter.
Indeed. So let me ask, why would a member of House Ilunid, who has a good relationship with House Ileo, want to come in and basically defend a known murderer and clear her record or her name or in whatever capacity?
Perhaps they were asked to by the Ileo?
It's highly suspicious. I can't confirm that it was the Ileo who hid it. We can't really know. That's for sure. But given at least some of the information I also got out of this, it seems at the very least, if it's not the Baron directly, it's someone who's protecting the interests of the barony.
And how would that relate to what happened at Kiss My Shamrock? I wonder.
You invoked the name of the thing where we have the crux of the issue. Mm-hmm. You, as I and a few others, were under the impression that Kiss My Shamrock's fighting arena was illegal. Well, it is illegal in the Grey World. In the Dreaming, or in the Kingdom of Apples, it's perfectly legal. In fact, the fights generate enough revenue and stuff to give a proper tithe to the Baron.
And there we have motive.
Mm-hmm. Now, even if the fights aren't illegal, the situation about the fights and what caused this whole kerfuffle in the first place might not be looked so good upon if it's brought to light. And I have very good word that the focus of the trial is to be focusing on Shea's sentencing and to avoid the mention about the keep the focus off, I should say. Keep the focus off the Fight Club as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of however you may feel about Shea, the idea is that they're going to throw, well, actually, I think you would get a great amount of pleasure in the fact that they're going to throw her under the bus. Just a rabid red cap, out of control, one-time incident.
Not sure about the one-time incident in her case, unless something is done about it. Though, I do have to wonder just how involved in the fights that the Baron and his people were.
It is a good question. As I said, all we know for certain is that they were getting tithes, which already incites a certain degree of motive. But, and unfortunately, as far as beyond that, I can't really draw too many more conclusions, except for the fact that they don't want what happened at Kiss My Shamrock to come really to light. They don't want anyone focusing on the fight clubs. They are taking that completely out of their strategy, or at the very least, if not taking it out of their strategy, they're at least going to make sure that whatever contingencies they have in planned in this court is to make sure that it's not brought up.
Mm-hmm.
It would cause a rather ugly smear.
Of course. And they wouldn't want that.
Not at all. So, what I'm saying, Brooke, is that regardless of whatever you may want for Shea's predicament, she'll get whatever she's getting. It's probably not going to be satisfactory in one way or another, but I think the real thing we have to consider is the fact that while what happened and what Shea did was egregious and stuff, it was encouraged.
It was. She was given permission to use her teeth.
Mm-hmm. And yet they're going to sweep that under the rug.
Yes.
And you have
But
to
that
wonder.
could make the case against her even worse.
It's possible.
If they ignore the fact that she was given permission, then Shea entered a bare knuckles fist fight and used her teeth. Now, last time I checked, teeth weren't the same as knuckles.
All I can say is I'm giving you what information I know about this. You can do with it what you will. But unless you have a good defense, which unfortunately I can't step any further in or out of this situation. But what I can tell you is the fact that they're going to want to protect their interests. So all I'm saying is if the situation starts to turn in a direction you're not appreciating, you might want to stick it where it hurts. They're not going to want to talk about this. It's too much of a shame. It's too much of a smear. Too much. They want to wipe away what happened like a bad memory. Just a small, like a one-time fling that you regret on a summer afternoon.
If it were to get out, it would be scandalous. Brooke actually has a smile that almost matches Charles. Not as much, because they're not diamond.
Of course not, and they don't stretch quite as wide.
But she does have a large grin.
I see we're coming to at least a bit of an understanding here.
I believe we are. Though, I do have more questions.
Of course you do. And I can only give you as many answers as I have.
Do you know if our lovely Baron has any animosity towards my kith, or perhaps its own monarchy?
That I don't know. Unfortunately, my knowledge of the barony in Brooklyn is rather shaky at best. It wasn't until fairly recently that it really came to my attention as something I was having to pay attention to. So, but I guarantee you that given certain events and stuff, it's getting a lot more of my attention now. So I don't have answers at the moment, but I guarantee you, given enough time, I will.
Well, I would recommend keeping an ear out for anything that may sound similar to what I've just asked about.
Well, I will definitely keep an ear out for it, he says as he smiles and sort of points to the slightly extended ears. But if he does have a certain degree of animosity towards the Selkies, that would be an interesting thing. And if you could manage to find a way of to prove it, then you could even show that there was a degree of prejudice in this arena. Perhaps, I know it's an illegal fight ring, but if they're going to be keeping track of their fights and keeping tithes, perhaps there's some degree of records about fight match results. Maybe you can find out whether other Selkies have been finding a high degree of brutality put upon them.
It is something that should be looked into.
I think there's a lot of things in that fight club that should be looked into. Unfortunately, it's outside my jurisdiction, and if I were to go out there, well, it would be seen as an invasion.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No, not at all. Enough troubles being stirred up from a a miracle. I don't think we need anything further to start a holy war over it.
Mhm.
Well, not sure what resources you and your friends might have at your disposal. Oh, I was going to ask. Sorry, it's tangent here as I'm thinking about it. And he reaches for a drumstick and goes for it. Have you guys been doing your research on the Sea Witch?
I believe that Karina and Ron have. I haven't had the opportunity to fully insert myself into the Sea Witch's friend circle.
But the prep work's being done.
Yes.
What have you discovered so far?
Out of character, nothing, so this is just gonna be made up.
Okay.
But Brooke's not lying about this. I'm just coming up with this off
Okay.
the
Off the
fly,
cuff,
on the
yeah.
fly. Yep.
Yep. Adjust as need be.
Well, she takes her break at, I believe, 3 o'clock every day that she works. She's very into consistency, schedules.
Interesting.
If she's supposed to be somewhere at this time, she's there. No sooner, no later.
So a potential interrupt in her routine. That'd be interesting. As an experiment, you should probably see if there's a way you can sort of cause a delay in her routine, see how she reacts. Even if it's a 5-minute delay, just see how that goes. I'm not saying directly put yourself in your path, but just find something to cause an might give us an upset. It might give us a little bit more insight into her, how she holds herself when it comes to when a situation goes awry, even if it's outside of her control.
She also seems to have a penchant for health kicks.
Health cakes.
Doing the paleo diet or going vegan for a week.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So whatever's the most recent fad and gluten. I'm 90% sure she's gluten free.
Probably. Though obviously not, because she's actually allergic to gluten.
Never know, but 9 cases out of 10 usually not.
And she doesn't have many friends, and the ones she keeps don't seem too close. Not surprising, given her status as sea witch, whatever.
Would you say, well, this might be going too deep into that if you haven't fully integrated yourself, would you say she definitely runs herself as the queen bee?
From what I've seen, yes.
Have you taken a look into her friends' circle?
One girl in particular, she hangs out with more often. About 5'4" Caucasian brunette. She seems to work at, if I remember correctly, a restaurant shortly down the way from the aquarium.
Wasn't the one we went to before, was it?
No.
Good. I might have to do a quick stop for dinner there on a shift she's working, just to see if I can get a read on her and maybe instigate a dialogue.
Brooke will pull out a notepad or like sticky notes and a pen, and write down the address and the name of the restaurant and give it to him.
Thank you. He opens up his notebook where he's keeping notes on these things and sticks that in there and closes it. Anything else that you can think of? Now, of course, it's all preliminary at this point.
I believe that her and her boyfriend have recently, or fiance, whichever one, have gotten into a fight recently. A pretty heavy one. I'm not sure on the details, but...
Is she still wearing the ring?
On the opposite hand.
Definitely not giving it up, no matter how small the rock might be. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Cool. This gives me some things to consider about.
Although, just as a warning, myself, Karina, and Hall made acquaintances with 3 of the park people, and she does that in quotations, air quotes.
So, whatever's lurking in there.
Puppies, wolves, dogs, whatever you like to call them.
He sort of frowns for a moment. He's like, wolves that walk?
Wolves that take the shape of men and men that take the shape of wolves.
Werewolves. Interesting. Oh. I've never met a werewolf. I've had the dreams of one.
Apparently, one of our own is married to one. A troll named Dimitri.
Troll by the name of Dimitri. Interesting. I don't know a Dimitri, but might be something looking into. Might be able to learn more about them. Figure out what's going on there. So I'm assuming you didn't go into the park where they were. Otherwise, I'm certain you wouldn't have been in one piece.
No, we met them at an ice cream shop. One was, well, actually, all of them were interesting in their own ways, though one took a fancy to our lovely Karina. The other had eyes that changed with every blink. He spoke about an emerald mother and Gaia. And I think there was something about gnawers of bone.
Emerald Mother sounds familiar. The rest... They're interesting words to chew on. Ones I'll have to look into, but as of right now, they're potent, full of possibility, but no defined meaning.
It is possible we could get more information from the one who is fond of Karina. And Brooke she just has this smile, and it's one that's full of kind of not joy, but just amusement.
Well, if Karina's willing to play with that kind of fire, that's up to her.
True. Though it seems that he doesn't mind having an in-between between them. I did give her a lovely poem that he wrote shortly after they met. So perhaps he might slip up in one of his messages. Might tell us a little bit more about his people.
That would be very interesting. And speaking of poems and letters, I got yours not too long ago. I wanted to thank you for that. Your formality. I have to say, I'm impressed with your penmanship.
I thank you. I put many long days of practice into it in my youth. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
I did indeed. Well, unfortunately, I don't want to be rude, but I unfortunately have. I managed to put up this meeting for as long as I could. The department has a particular murder case going on. I'm probably going to be working on that for maybe the next week or so.
Of course.
It doesn't look like it's going to be caught up anytime soon, but I at least told them that there was at least something I had to do before I went out there, and so that's why I could have this meeting with you, but that time is drawing rapidly to a close. I don't
Brooke,
have any...
will get up and kind of bow her head towards him. It was pleasant speaking with you.
It was indeed. Brooke,
yes.
One last thing. Regardless of how... more of a question. If the punishment that Shea gets gives her the potential of surviving in some capacity, even if it's a mutilation or a shaming, or if she's given an opportunity that might result in her death, but she manages to come out on the other side, would that be enough?
There are many avenues to justice that are within our laws.
Indeed, there are. And if they refuse to see you, if they refuse to see what happened, my suggestion is to make them see. Make them look at what they don't want to see. Something as frightening and beautiful as setting fire to the rain.
Or perhaps the beauty of a hurricane.
Hurricane Brooke.
I didn't say who the hurricane would be.
The frightening, well, as the astrological ones say, the most frightening hurricanes are the ones that are named after women.
They're underestimated.
That indeed they are. You have a good night, Brooke.
You too, Charles. And she'll start walking towards the door.
He'll at least walk her out as he always does, being the good host, and closes it behind her. Werewolf puppies. Lovely letters in spider silk. I think you're trying to get on my good side, Brooke. I think you'll find that no matter what side you find me on, there's always thorns. And with that, I think we'll end the scene unless you wish to add one last thing before the end.
No. No. But there is going to be a change in name in the changeling chat.
Yes, I like it. All right. Well, and with that, I will end this scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever and whenever you are. Bye-bye.